Okay, we're live here on Grumpy Roadie, and today we're talking about Light Up Live, the event that's supposed to be happening tonight to feature all of us in the event industry. And I'm joined by Nikki Googs and Kate McKay. And let's go over to Zoom and see what we got. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
So, Nikki, do you want to tell us quickly about what was planned for tonight and what's still happening and what's not happening?
Yeah, so about a month ago, we saw a bunch of the different events going on around the world, and it was like, I think Canada needs something. So I had posted on We Build Entertainment's Facebook page, hey, is anyone interested in doing something? And then we got some good feedback, so it was like, okay, maybe this is a thing. And then I started having a few people come on and say, hey, like, I'll help you out with this, or I'll help you out with that. And then live event community guys came on and said, hey, do you want to take this national? And then before I knew it, it was this thing that we were doing. And it's been a crazy month. Like I've done so many things that are out of my normal wheelhouse, being a lighting technician. But it's been really rewarding, and it's been great to see just everyone like come together in this community. It's been amazing. So we want to make sure, first and foremost, that the event workers were displayed in a way that they would want to be and be comfortable with. We're trying to figure out what we could do. So we decided that there was going to be 7 squares within Toronto that we would come and stand together next to each other with a handheld red light, light ourselves up, and then stand in silence and just get those photos, get those shots of, I mean, it's kind of sad. It's sad what we're going through right now. So we wanted to capture that and capture that whole emotion of it, I guess. And then later on, we could use those images to show maybe government or however we want to move forward with it, just how many people are involved in this industry, and the fact that it's so important that we show people that this is a career. Like, for years, it's been, oh, you probably shouldn't go in the arts. Like, you're not going to have a career there, or you should go into computers or be a doctor. I had a high school teacher tell me, well, your marks like aren't the greatest, so maybe you should stay in the arts. And they said that as a negative thing, and I almost want to go back to that teacher and be like, thank you for saying that, because you made a lifelong career for me.
But you know what, like, that's been, like, I remember my mom telling me to get a real job when I started touring back in the 80s. Yeah. And she kept, like, belittling my line of work until the day I got her a backstage pass to her favorite artist. And from that day on, she just started bragging about her son and how he's on tour with so-and-so, how he knows all these big rock stars and all that. It's kind of hilarious, because I think a lot of people don't even know that we're around, We try so hard to be invisible. We try so hard to hide in the wings and in the shadows that it's part of our job not to be seen. And anybody who's ever tried to fill out a government website and look for our job description in a drop-down menu knows full well that nobody knows who the fuck we are and what we do.
Yeah, you're right. And through this month of just speaking with people, I would have a lot of phone conversations, and they're like, give me a little bit of, what's going on here. And then it would be full on like, oh, you know what? I actually thought for some reason it just showed up and like it was all there, or like it just popped up off the stage, or they were like, I didn't actually think of how it arrived. I was like, yeah, there's thousands and millions of people. I think, they're saying probably about over like 1 million people just in Ontario that are part of the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And that's insane. And you don't put the two and two together, but also part of this event was that if we could get people in a square, we can also show even to our group of people that there's a whole group of people that they might not know. So, it's our industry is so big, like it's
Yeah.
so big that that was the power of standing in the squares and making that happen. Because like me, someone who's been in Toronto for a little while, I've met a bunch of people, but I haven't met everyone, of course. So for me to be able to stand next to someone who I have no idea who they are, I don't know their story, like that's a pretty great thing to be able to accomplish. um, and that was really what we were fighting for. But then the numbers started turning, and I was speaking with my team, and those guys have been absolutely amazing through this whole thing. And it was like, we're not feeling comfortable putting people in a square right now. And then we had actually canceled that section of it. And then I was like, okay, we'll release it on Friday. And then I think it was Thursday, and Doug Ford was coming out with the lowering of the numbers, and it was like, oh,
Yeah.
all
So,
right, well.
so do you think there's other options that we could do? Probably not for today, but in the coming weeks, like do a parade, where we also walk every 10 feet, you have somebody pushing a flight case or something like that down the street, and make
Well,
like a parade or
Well,
something.
actually, we are still, in fact, doing the squares tonight. We're doing
Oh, we
5
are.
squares, but we're not doing with people. We're going to represent a very small group of us are going to get together. The core group that have been working on this. We're going to get together. And we're going to represent all the stagehands that would have been standing there with a light.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So unfortunately, like this scenario, for lack of a better word, is shitty. Right? So this actually conveys the message almost even more. We couldn't even do an event about not being able to do events.
Right. That's the irony of this whole thing, right? That's
Yeah, it really is. And so each light tonight that we put out, we're gonna keep in our minds all the stagehands, all the caterers, all the production managers, all the front of house staff, every single person that's involved in entertainment.
yeah.
Those lights that we're going to put out tonight in those 5 squares are going to represent them.
Nice. Can you let us know where those squares are? Because I probably want to send somebody out with some cameras to kind of shoot some of this stuff so we can do like a follow-up report on it.
Yeah, we have a photography team that is working on the whole project. We have some video going on. If people are out and about, because we're trying to keep the numbers down on the square, because we need to make sure that everyone stays safe, because it's our number one. We're not suggesting that people come and just say, hey guys, let's come and help, because we're keeping it a really small thing. If you're wondering by getting photos of buildings, wander by, grab a photo maybe from afar, or if you guys could say, hey guys, what's up, what's going on. But we don't suggest that you come into that area, just because we're following strict guidelines. We're all wearing masks, hand sanitizers. We've all signed waivers and COVID things, so we're being really tight with all of that. And I just don't want to put the safety of the people who are working on this at jeopardy. But yeah, absolutely. If you guys can get like shots from maybe outside of where we're working or anything like that, then absolutely.
I mean, if you guys can get us some of the video footage, if you have cameras there, so we can kind of use that instead of having to send our own camera guy out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I would love to do a piece on this whole thing and how it actually played out, to kind of just, because the more we can get the word out, the better, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that was the goal. We wanted to make sure, I have photographers there getting the whole setup process and how we're putting it together. And then we have at Nathan Phillips Square and YDS, we have a video team that is doing some of that as well, getting some, lack of a better word, B-roll kind of stuff.
Right. Cool. Well, yeah, after the stream, we'll exchange emails or whatever so we can figure out how I can coordinate with those guys and get my hands on that so we can kind of put this on the screens.
Yeah, that would be amazing. It's great. it's taken us a month to kind of get to this point. So we're working on today, and everyone that's involved is going full tilt today,
Right.
which is amazing. Everyone that's been a part of this has just reached out and just been like, "What can we do?" Our industry is pretty amazing sometimes. It's been pretty great, but moving forward, um, we'll just have to work on what we're gonna do with that. We do have connections through live event community or people that we know that are working with government. So this stuff can also be used as far as like making a face to our industry, and
Right.
that's our goal with all the photos and the pieces of paper. Like it's hitting home to me. You know, we're seeing people that we haven't seen in a while, or
Yeah.
you know, it's making an impact already.
Do you
And
think that those posts and stuff are going out beyond our community?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping that like my family, for instance, is sharing the stuff that we're sharing, which gets to a whole group of people that they don't even know what we do. I don't even know if my parents really know.
Right.
For years, they've come to shows and they're like, I guess I get it. They sort of get it, but they don't really know the extent of what it is that we do. So we're
Yeah.
hoping that doing this whole thing is actually going to make people start asking questions.
Oh,
Right.
cool. Yeah, I mean, we need to get the conversation going, right? That's the whole thing. Raise awareness, get people talking about it and knowing about what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, we like I said in the opening, we try so hard to be invisible in our daily jobs, right? It's our jobs not to be seen,
Yeah.
basically, right?
The
So you
man
can't.
behind the curtain.
Yeah, exactly, right. Or woman or whatever, right?
Or
But
person.
person, the individuals behind the curtain, the entities, let's call it that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
How much of a community it actually is. Like we're like family. You
it
know,
is. It is true.
one of us is down, you know, we try to pick them up. And like I know for myself, if anyone were to call me and be like, you know, I need help right now, you know, I would do the most I could to facilitate that, just because you're family, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I think that goes for most of us, because we've all been, I mean, in this industry, we've all had our ups and downs, we've had our dry spells where we had to depend on others to help us out. And at the same time, when we're doing okay, we help others out that having a dry spell. That's the
Yeah.
way it's always been, more or less, at least as long as I can remember, and I've been doing this a while now, but like I have tour shirts older than most of the people I work with.
I know, I've heard that one. I have shoes older than you.
Yeah. Yeah, I just recently was talking to a young lighting tech, and he goes like, "Oh man, I've been doing this so long now. I'm 30 years old, and I've been doing this all my life." And I said, "Dude, the year you were made, I was on the road." you know, While your dad was trying to pick up your mom, I was hauling amplifiers up some staircase or something.
Probably trying to pick up your mom at the concert you were doing.
Probably, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Well, his mom was probably trying to get with a guitar player or something.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Who knows? But
that's the great thing about like this industry is that you have like so like some of the photos that we were getting, it's like 20-30 years in the industry, and then some of them you're getting 2 or 3 years. Like it's really been cool to see that, like that range,
right.
just visually.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we forget what kind of an age range we cover, like, sure, we sometimes work with stage hands, that are fresh out of high school and are clueless. And at the same time, I find myself working with people who've been doing this as long as I have, like nearly 4 decades now, which
Yeah.
is a pretty friggin' long time if I think about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've actually had a few conversations with some of the techs that I first started working with in St. John, New Brunswick at Imperial Theater. That place is like so special to me because I was fresh out of high school. I started there with co-op, and then they brought me in with open arms, and that started my career. Like those technicians are why I'm the tech I am today.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. We all have mentors, right? We all have those people that kind of took us under their wings and showed us the ropes. I mean, I know when I started back in the day, there was no schools to teach this. You know, there was only one way you would learn this. You just jump in and start doing it and listen to the people who've been doing it longer than you to show you how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I've been lucky enough to have actually kind of gotten that in two ways or three ways. Like when I came to, had it in St. John, then I came to Toronto, and it was like a whole nother group of people that was like, oh my goodness, you guys are amazing, you know. And then a couple years ago, I joined Local 58, and that's like another whole other group of people that I didn't know, and they've taken me under the wing too. Like it's just, you know, multiple spots in my life I've been able to, you know, meet a whole other group of technicians. It's really cool.
Well, that's part of the beauty in our job, you know, that we're constantly working with changing crews. Every show you're on, there's a couple of people you worked with before and a couple of people you haven't worked with before. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's all one big puddle that we draw from, right? Or that these people are drawing from. So you might end up working with somebody you haven't worked with for 10 years or so and haven't seen each other, even though you've both been like chasing each other across the continent on buses for the last couple of years or something.
Yeah,
And
so true.
you know, and then you kind of see each other at some festival where like suddenly everybody shows up that you haven't seen in years because it's like the biggest show in town,
Yeah.
and there literally everybody comes crawling out of the attic to kind of do the show. And
Festivals
Yeah,
are
you
always
see
old
each
home
other.
week.
say what, Katie?
Festivals are always old home week. You always run into people you haven't seen in a year or even 10 years, like you say.
Yeah, I love that.
Those are my favorite times of the year, the summer, when we're doing outdoor festivals.
Normally,
But normally,
Yeah, like summer camp. Yeah,
summer
band
camp.
camp.
right? Yeah, it's been, yeah, I love the festivals too. I feel the same way about them. I think a lot of people do. To see your family again.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, you know, like all the average people, you know, they're missing to going to the festivals and just partying and dancing and stuff like that. And we miss seeing our friends and our road family and doing what we love doing, what we do best, right? We don't get
Yeah.
to do that, so they don't get to party.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I don't think that the like general public really realizes how connected that is.
No, they
You know,
don't.
and usually I'll get the, well, what was your favorite show that you did? And
Yeah,
my question is usually, what shows have you gone to? You
yeah.
know, because
Now,
that's
my
usually, like,
question usually would be, what decade are you talking about? Let's narrow it down a little bit.
right?
Just so I can
Yeah.
kind of name artists they will actually know and recognize.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? That's how you have to like answer.
Yeah, you know, if I tell them some of the people I toured with in the 80s and 90s, they're just going to look at me with a blank stare, going like, never heard of them. Who are they?
They
Yeah,
weren't even born yet.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne, isn't that the guy on that Post Malone song?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you know, that's the kind of stuff, you get, and you're going, you kind of scratch your head going like, really?
You're like, no.
Yeah.
I'll just let you Google that one.
Yeah. But then you kind of catch yourself feeling old and going, have I really been doing this long? You know, it's like, but apparently so.
Yeah.
And I was
right?
planning on doing it a lot longer, but I guess it'll be a while before we get that chance.
Yeah, it's looking that way. That's the thing too, is we're hearing so many different numbers. Like now we're just like going through years. Like, is it going to be next year? The next, like, we're not looking at months anymore. Now it's like years. And I was speaking with a few people, and it's like, what's going to happen with all the funding that's happening? Like, we've been really lucky in Canada. Oh, and I didn't touch on that, I guess. That was something why we wanted in Canada to do something specifically different, because our scenario is different. We are getting government funding, and we are in a way getting taken care of. So you can't go out on the streets and be yelling and screaming. There's really nothing to be yelling and screaming about. We're all in the same scenario, and we
Right.
understand that events need to be shut down right now, because it's not safe. But I guess we're just trying to make sure that the funding sort of continues, because our industry is going to be out for a lot longer than a lot of the other ones, right? So and like you said earlier, if you try to do anything with it, like government paperwork or buying homes or anything, like, you know, with freelancers, like they don't even look at you. You could be sitting there with a wad of cash going, here's a down payment for a home, and they just kind of look at you and go, you don't get regular payments in your bank account, so I don't know.
Yeah,
You
exactly,
know,
right.
insurance, anything like it. And I think more and more people out of all this pandemic stuff are probably going to turn freelance, even not in our industry. So I'm hoping that by doing that, they're going to have to make some sort of system to make it work, because everyone's going to be freelancing from home.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, unfortunately, most of our jobs can't be done from home. You know,
Yeah,
that's the thing.
not
I
with
mean,
us. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's some things that can be done from home. You know, some virtual shows and whatever and stuff like that. Like I could totally just, set up a system where I could switch a show remotely.
Yeah.
You know, that is totally doable. But somebody needs to set up the whole thing too, right? And tear it down and be on site to make it run. That's the tricky part.
Yeah, it's true. And regulate that, the other thing is that regulations right now are just kind of shutting all of us out. There is some venues that may be able to, like, well, I guess now that the numbers are crappier, it was looking better for us, but there is some venues that would be able to probably follow what they needed and more. And they need to kind of look at each venue as a specific thing.
Yeah. Well,
Because,
but
you
the
know,
thing is, you know, would those venues even be able to survive financially? You know, like a club that can only pack, let's say, 100 people in instead of the 1,500. You know, they're not going to break even. They're not going to be able to pay their rents and their staff and their mortgages and whatever.
no,
I know so many small live event venues, bars, and clubs that just had to shut down because there's no way they can survive, even if they're allowed to do shows with these reduced numbers. It's just not a viable option for them.
no, it's not. And unfortunately, I don't think there's like an easy answer to that, because you just can't safely, you know, and that's where we're stuck.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? It's so frustrating because there's nothing logical that we can actually do.
No,
It's
that's
just,
it. And that's the most frustrating part sometimes, when you actually can't control something, you
yeah.
know?
And the problem is we're not those stupid morons, you know, that'll just ignore safety and rules and stuff like that just for our own benefit. Because that's not what we do. You know, like safety and stuff like that is always at the forefront of everything we do. So
Yeah,
we're used to that, right? That's a prime concern in every move we do, from opening the truck door to closing the truck door.
yeah, exactly. And that's why we wanted to show with this event today, that we were willing to just shut it down if we had to, and redirect and do it in a safer way, because it was important for us, first of all, to make sure that none of our techs got sick. And
Yeah, of
also,
course.
you know, we want to show that we can do this and we're willing to follow guidelines.
Well, that's the thing. And do you think we'll have a chance to do another event where we can actually get the people seen? Like I was just looking at some of the footage from some of the events in Europe where they did like parades and stuff like that, you know, and people properly, safely spaced, which obviously makes the parade even longer. If you're like every 10 feet, you have a tech with an empty flight case, you know, just pushing down the street past City Hall, like they
Yeah.
did in some German and I think in Spain and Portugal as well.
Yeah, those looked really great. And at first it was like, maybe we should do something like that. And then upon talking to a few people, and sort of made the decision that it was better for us to do more of a peaceful thing right now, because, you know, rolling cases down the street is, it's loud, it's disruptive. We're cutting down streets,
It
and
depends. Like there is plenty of streets right now that are actually shut down from car traffic. You know,
okay,
that might be an option. Like I was just thinking that the other day I was driving down Lakeshore coming from the Bud stage,
oh
and
yeah,
yeah, the entire eastbound lane is shut off. Only
yeah,
bicycles and people walking there, you know. So that would be like a location where we could do something like that without disrupting traffic. And honestly,
yeah.
I don't think a bunch of rolling flight cases would be noisier than cars.
Oh, well, it does definitely like show a statement, and we wanted to make sure that we weren't coming across that we were protesting.
Yeah, no, obviously it's not a protest, of course not. And it's not, well, it may be a demonstration depending on how you want to define it, right?
Yeah,
It's a
But
demonstration of visibility.
yeah, exactly,
Just to
right?
show the sheer numbers of people that act like you say, they don't realize that there's 50 people behind the scenes when there's 20 people on stage. It's
Yeah. Actually,
sometimes
I did the math the other day. On average, for every person on stage, there's about 35 to 40 people behind the scenes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
that's the average number, at least as best as I was able to determine it.
Right.
I mean, obviously that fluctuates with the type of show you have or not,
Of course. Yeah.
and the size of the production. But as an average rule, and if you include all the other people that are not directly involved in the production but depend on it, let's say venue ushers, servers, waiters, people that make their concession stands, merchandisers, all the people, all the support industries, right down to cab drivers, Ubers, and transit companies that are losing a lot of money if these events are not happening. So if you include those, you're talking about hundreds of people per artist.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's weird because we're just stuck and no one can do anything, and it's not like the government can come out and be like, it's okay, you guys can start doing shows, because it's not safe for us to do that right now.
Yeah, no, we can't. That's the frustrating thing. And then you see them like complaining about opening hairdressers and fitness studios and all this other crap. I mean, I get it. All industries need to make a living, and everybody's struggling, right? So I understand the desire to get things moving and rolling again, but at least from my point of view, there is an imbalance in the common sense part of it. They're opening up some business areas that are ridiculously dangerous and really, really hard to kind of contain any kind of infections. Not even mentioning schools, for example.
Oh, that's a whole other.
Yeah, that's like one of the worst examples. But even like hairdressers, gyms, or bars, right? I walk down the street here when I'm walking my dog, and I see people, hanging out on the patios and bars. And I'm just thinking to myself, dude, there's like 30 people sitting on that patio. And sure, they're trying their best. The bars are trying their best to social distance, and all the servers are wearing masks and they're constantly sanitizing and everything. But at the same time, all those people interacting, they're kind of more and more dropping their guard.
Yeah. As soon as you get a few beer and you start being a little more lax with it, or you're like, oh, this mask.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, besides that, the people on the patio that are eating and drinking are not wearing masks anyways, and there's still 6 of them sitting around the table.
Yeah, it's true. And I thought it was weird to sit like on a patio and then have like foot traffic here and cars here. Like it just doesn't seem like, I haven't been out myself into that scenario just because I didn't really feel comfortable doing it. But yeah.
I see that all the time when I'm walking my dog, because I live on Queen East in the beaches. So when I walk down Queen Street, I walk like by 3 or 4 bar patios, and every day I see all these people sitting there, and I'm going like, I really wonder how many of you are just infecting a whole bunch of other people without realizing it.
Yeah,
because that's the scary thing, right? With this asymptomatic spreading, is a single person without knowing could potentially be causing the death of hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Just by not being considered, by not wearing a mask, or just being stupid.
Yeah.
And they'll never know that they caused the death of 100 people.
No, that's the.
And that's why they don't care, right?
Yeah, I know. It just by wearing a mask, you can help so much.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if you saw that post from Indonesia, where they instead of punishing non-mask wearers with financial things, they actually make them dig graves for COVID victims.
Wow.
As a punishment. So they actually, if you get caught not wearing a mask or ignoring safety guidelines, you get put on the work detail that's digging graves for all the people that died of COVID.
Yikes.
That's.
I think it's a brilliant approach. Huh?
It's brilliant, but how many graves must there be then?
Well, I
That's
mean,
insane.
yeah, but take a look in the States where they got 200,000 people dead or whatever, you know. Just imagine you lined all of those up. You couldn't even fit them in an arena. Because I was thinking the other day, you know, you should put Trump in an arena with all those dead bodies. And I realized that wouldn't fit. There's
Oh,
not a stadium big enough that you can fit 200,000 dead people in.
You
yeah.
can't blame one person for it, though. I mean,
No, I mean, but he's like, I guess, the poster boy for ignorance. And, you know, I mean, he's not the only one doing it, but he's one of the prime promoters for stupidity. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's definitely to each person. You know, if I was living in the States, it didn't really matter what they were saying. Like, I would have worn my mask as well. You know, or
I have a lot of friends down there, they're all talking about how they're socially distancing, and many of them have lost 8 to 12 friends themselves, especially the older population. And just to hear to think about losing 8 to 12 of your dearest friends or close friends, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't
I
imagine.
know.
having
My
to deal with
count is
that.
at 6 right now.
Wow.
oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry to hear that.
I mean, one of them didn't die from COVID. He had cancer and didn't make it. You guys probably, or some of you might know him here in Toronto. That was JP.
Right. Yeah.
He died a few months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was basically number 5 on the list, so to speak. And the other 5 all in some way or another were related to COVID. So that was pretty sobering experience, let's put it that way, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. I am actually really thankful that I'm a Canadian.
Yep.
Because I actually, you know, I actually feel like we're being taken care of. Really. I do.
Yeah, it's true. No, we are very, very lucky up here. Like when I talk to some of my friends down south, you know, some of the struggles they have dealing with promises from their government and then money not coming and or being not enough. And
Yeah.
like we really are lucky up here in Canada for better or for worse.
Yeah, nothing's been perfect, but like literally a pandemic came out of nowhere and just
Yeah.
like, I mean, as much as we know, like, and then that's how they dealt with it. Like, so everyone's sitting, I mean, home right now with money coming into their, is it enough money? Maybe not. Like it's hard living in Toronto. The rents are
Yeah.
really high. And you're dealing with people who are used to making a certain amount of money and they go down to $2,000 a month. That's most people's full rent, or it's over that.
Yeah.
So it's a bit difficult. And like, should they be giving like, you know, Toronto or you know, cities that's a little more expensive to live in, maybe a little bit more money, maybe. But we're getting something, and like I was expecting when this hit to just get nothing and be
Yeah.
left like, you know, as a freelancer for years, you get used to being like, okay, I need to figure out my own
Mhm.
finances, my own everything, because at the end of the day, it's you that has to take care of it. So I was pleasantly surprised that the government came out and then was willing to come out with extensions on CERB, or they're working on this gig EI thing. So they are listening for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they're trying to do something. And I really honestly got to give our government props. You know, that they're trying. Obviously, they can't do everything and help everybody they would like to, because they have limited budgets as well. That money can only go so far.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like figuring out, you know, and getting your head wrapped around who needs what and who's dealing with what right now is a big job. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, and it's not just our industry. You know, they're dealing with, you know, a lot of people.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other industries too, you know, that we might not be aware of or not know enough about to maybe realize that they're going through similar struggles or have a similar dire outlook for the near future as we do.
Yeah.
Even though I can't think of too many of them, except maybe sex workers.
Yeah.
But I
You
think,
have to consider as well. There's the retail people who's, you know, stores. They're not staffing with the full complement because to follow the social distancing rules.
Mhm.
But you also have servers, people who are serving at restaurants and or bars. Again, they're not having, because they're not having 1,000 people come to that club. is only allowed 100 or 200,
Right.
you know, they're not going to need the numbers. So it's not necessarily the entire section of that industry, but it's definitely hurting a lot of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And
that's
plus,
it. Mhm.
our industry has kind of gone there to try to get some work, you know, and they're hurting too. Like that's the problem. We've kind of got the like, well, why don't you just go get another job? And yeah, okay, to a certain extent, I'll give you that. But where are the jobs at? Everyone's trying to get them right now. And also like if you do a career for 20 plus years or even less than that, like you're building your life here. This is a real career. Like this is as if like some of us have put as much or more time in like than a doctor does, you
Yeah,
know,
for
just different
sure.
kind of thing. You know, we're not saving lives, we're not, you know, but we're we put as much time in, you know, we're not sleeping just as much. Like we actually kind of have hours like a doctor does.
Yeah, very much so. It's true, you know, and like, and if I think about it, it's not just a job. Like if I look at myself, I did this before I quit school. I was mixing the high school big band when I was 14 years old, right? And I literally quit a week before graduation to go on tour.
There
Like,
you go.
and I've been doing this all my life. It's not just a job and a career. It's literally who and what I am.
Yeah,
It's a
that's it.
lifestyle. It's a
Yeah,
complete
yeah. Like
lifestyle.
I've tried in the last 4 decades on several occasions to get quote unquote a normal job, right?
How'd that
With
work
with
for you?
with like salary and that kind of stuff. And it just doesn't work for me. I just can't go to the same office every day and deal with the same challenge. I need a new venue, a new challenge, a new artist, a new problem and puzzle to solve to figure out.
The
That's what
people
Yeah,
to meet.
that's who I am, right?
yeah,
It's a social
exactly.
thing too. Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
It's very much a social thing too. Like, it's not like you're going into the same space and seeing the same people every day as well. But if you're in the touring side of it, or at least if you're in a roadhouse, you do have uh, new faces coming in and out every day.
exactly.
Some are friends you've made over the years. Some are just people you've known, and then in other cases, it's brand new people every day.
yeah,
That's the most amazing part about our industry is how social it is.
Yeah, it never gets boring either because there's always something new. You know,
yeah.
even like in the longest single run show I've did, that was back in the 90s, that was a musical theater production of The Who's Tommy, the Broadway production,
Mhm.
even though it was the one in Germany, but nevertheless, that show ran for 2 years. And that was pretty much the only salary job I ever had in my career that lasted for more than 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
But everything else I've tried, nah, no good. It's like I always came back to freelance and I always climbed on some tour bus or went out to some festival to work because that's who I am. You
Yeah,
know, if
and
they say you can take a roadie off the road, but you can't take the road out of the roadie.
no, you can't. It's true.
It's you
Someone that
sell your
did,
soul to rock and roll and that's it. You're done. No refunds.
it's right. Just
Yep.
somebody had made a really good point the other day, that if you kind of look around who's in the industry, um, it's it's all the sort of misfits, for lack of better word. You know, like the people who are just like, oh, you know, I didn't want to be a doctor, I didn't want to be a engineer, I didn't want to be a this, or I didn't want to be a that, or maybe I wasn't so good in school, or maybe, you know, just sort of all of those people have kind of come together. That's obviously not saying everyone. There's some very well-rounded people as well.
Yeah.
But this is like kind of the industry where everyone falls into that doesn't fall into that like 9 to 5 sort of lifestyle.
Yeah, that doesn't fit in the boxes. That
Yeah,
doesn't have a point in the drop-down menu on the government website. You know?
exactly. Yeah, and this industry, you know, houses all of those people, and those people are still incredibly important as well. You know, like I going through school, I wasn't really like super book smart, but I've always been more like street smart. But there isn't really a space for for that when you're growing up. They just kind of go like, well, I guess you're not going to make it, you know? So then this industry, you find this industry, it's like, oh, okay, there's people like me here, or you know, so everyone always says the misfits, but I actually think that it's the like real people.
I agree. It's the nonconformists, if anything. It's a better word than misfits. Plus, I find, it's not necessarily about being a misfit, but it's also being about that in our industry, people can express their individuality a lot more than in an office environment or in corporate environment. So just purely from the impression you get when you meet us, we seem to be a lot more misfitting because we're not running around in a three-piece suit and tie or a business outfit or whatever, right?
That's right.
We're not in uniforms.
Yeah, exactly. Well, except that we're all wearing black most of the time. But aside from that, our,
Black
our,
is the new black.
our uniform is crazy haircuts, tattoos, and dirty black pants. That's basically,
Yep. Check all
And
those
tools
boxes.
hanging out everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Exactly. If you're not jingling going down the stairs, then you've probably not been in this business long enough.
And this industry is not for everyone. You know, some people are like, I don't know how to do that. I have to go to work 9 to 5. It's like, well, but it's just not for you. But
Yeah,
I
well, because it
actually-
is a lifestyle. Like Katie said, it's not just a job or career; it's a lifestyle. It's a choice of lifestyle, and
100%. Yeah.
and I think that goes for pretty much every job in the arts in general. Because you don't go into arts because of the great revenue stream or the career advance options or the great, health care or retirement plan that you get. That's not what motivates people to do what we do.
No.
It's pure passion and love for the art, no matter what art form it is. That's what drives us. That's why we endure and suffer and put up those crazy hours for low wages, eat cold pizza on flight cases or out of the trunk of a car,
Road case furniture.
Exactly. We don't do that for the retirement plan we're getting or for the healthcare benefits. We do that because we love what we do. We love bringing joy and entertainment to people.
It's the creativity outlet. It's the ability to
Yeah.
just do what you do best. That's amazing. And then the part that I mentioned earlier, when we were talking earlier, Chris, is we miss hearing the audience appreciation. That
Totally.
is better than any paycheck you will ever get in what we do. It's whether it's a corporate event or even a film viewing, you can feel from the audience that they've appreciated all the hard work you put into this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm craving.
Nothing
right
like 60,000 people screaming at the top of their lungs.
Yeah.
now. Oh, yeah.
And you've done your part. Part of that applause is for you.
Mhm.
Even if those people don't know it. But we know it. We know what we contributed to making them clap and cheer.
Yeah. It's
Right.
great when artists bring attention to it as well. And I feel like over the last couple of years, they've started to a little bit more.
Yes.
And just, either just thanking their technicians or literally just straight up explaining what they did. Like,
Yeah.
this happened because they were here for hours or, so
Yeah.
that takes
There's artists actually that features that. I remember doing a show with Peter Gabriel sometime in the second half of the 90s, I think it was. He was playing a big Monsters of Rock festival in Germany, and his entire stage crew was wearing bright orange jumpsuits. He literally wanted them to be seen. He had on-scene, like in-show set changes and stuff. He actually featured his crew as part of the show.
Cool.
That's cool.
And he actually, referred to them, by name too. When the guy brought him his guitar, he goes like, "Hey, thanks, Mike." And things like that. He really, shined a spotlight on the people he worked with, and he kind of made a statement along, "Hey, you think this is all about me? Bullshit. It's all about them, right?
Yeah.
They're making this happen. I'm just standing up here singing my song.
Right.
Everything else that's going on here, it's these guys and gals."
Well, I just put up a class photo of an end of tour picture. You can't see them because I'm in the way, but there's 85 people that are in the crew and about 20 people in the cast of this particular tour.
Yeah.
This is 12 years old, but I think I'm back here in this corner. But that's the sheer scope of what we're talking about. That these are just the people you see, and again, we're not talking about the venue people, the people selling concessions, ticket takers, any of that stuff. This is just the direct support for a show.
It is true. It's scary how many people, will never know that. And the way things are going right now, might never know. Because let's be honest, it'll be a long time before anybody's allowed to pack a couple of thousand people into a room again, and before it actually would be safe to do so.
They tried those pod concerts, and but when you see that outdoor concert where they had those scaffold pods all over, when you think about there was 2,500 people in that space where we could put 50,000 in a normal venue. Well, how much are you going to have to charge those audience members to be able to recoup your costs?
Exactly, because you have more costs because you got to build all that scaffolding bays and stuff like that, and you can fit less people in. So what I was saying earlier, there's a lot of models that people are doing to kind of put on shows, but none of them seem financially viable in the long run. No. They're great, like right now, for exposure and for awareness raising, but not as a business idea. And and let's be honest, it takes quite a while to plan a big event, a tour, a convention, whatever. That's like 6 to 8 months pre-roll time to plan something like that.
Upwards of a year at times too.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes depending on the size of it, right? Let's say minimum of 6 months to possibly years in the making for a tour.
Yes.
So even if today they decide, okay, we're over it, we beat the pandemic, we beat the virus, it's done for, we have a vaccine and all that crap, it'll still be almost a year before there's another tour that can go on the road. Mm-hmm. And that's at best case scenario, because the people that have to be convinced it's safe, it's not us or the artists, it's the insurance companies.
Yeah.
They're going to be the one that has the final say when shows happen again. And that is sad and scary.
So in Toronto, it's the 5 squares that they were talking about. Is that right? Five.
Yeah, I think we lost Nick.
I think we did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep the thing up, see if she comes back. Maybe.
I know that in Nova Scotia, there's about 20 plus venues that are going to light up their outsides.
Right.
Or in red tonight, and then I don't know how many in New Brunswick. I know the one that Nikki was talking about, the Imperial for sure is going to be doing stuff like the Playhouse, the Imperial, and the Capitol, and it says at least 6 other venues. So there's going to be awareness, and hopefully more and more people see it. Not that long ago, in August, we had done we lit up buildings in blue in Nova Scotia to show that we were Nova Scotia proud and Nova Scotia strong, and we're going to get through this.
So did everybody run around with like blue paint on their face screaming freedom?
No, they up your kilt. I mean, there was about a good dozen venues around the city that were lit up to just, show, just make awareness of it. And it brought people together, I guess. And hopefully with this, it'll be nice. I mean, I'm wondering if I can actually go out in the 80-kilometer-hour winds we're supposed to be getting today. But I'm hoping that I can get out there and see how many venues are lit up in red, how many buildings, how many people are actually doing stuff like that. Again, social distancing, the masks, and all that. We'll see. It'll be interesting. And what's going across, I'd love to know what's also going on in Vancouver, Ottawa, Winnipeg. Like, I mean, coast to coast to coast, we're thousands and millions of people who this is what we do, and hopefully people will recognize that.
Yeah, we have to get the word out there, right, and raise awareness to let them know what we do, because like we were saying earlier, nobody or very few know, and those that do or have some idea, they might not know the scope of things, and the dire outcome. Like, sure, most other business can have like a step-by-step model to get running again and reopening. For us, that's not an option. You can either fill an arena or you can't.
Right.
You know, the insurance company will let their star go on the road or they won't.
You also have to consider the arena in Halifax can do 10,000 people for a hockey, and they've released approximately 1,500 to 2,000 tickets for being able to go see a hockey game, and that's going to be a test. They're going to see, does this spike any COVID reaction, or is this something that, and are people going to follow the social distancing aspects of it?
Yeah.
And we'll see. I mean, you won't know right away. It's going to take a month or two of having a game here and having a game there. I don't know if it's the full season or what they're planning on doing, but it'll be interesting to see. I was talking to a friend who down in Maine, they had a concert of about 1,000 people. I don't know many details, but people were social distancing. I don't know if they were wearing masks. I didn't get a chance to talk to her about that, but hopefully anybody who is doing these test concerts are following these COVID guidelines, because it's just gonna, when they see that it works, that with the social distancing, the hand sanitizing, and whatever else they do to keep the COVID risk down, will hopefully allow us to be able to have more and more people show up at these venues and be able to do what we're doing. Ah, there she is. She's
Yep.
back.
Internet.
Hey, you got knocked out, did you?
Well, I'm surprised you got knocked out before me. I've got like the hurricane weather going on around me. So.
Oh yeah, everyone's batten down the hatches. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Sorry.
Yeah, we actually got pretty good weather here in Ontario, I would say, right now.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Nice.
So where did we leave off? What was I gonna say? Damn, no, I lost my train of thought.
We were talking about. I was saying about how in Maine there was a test concert. And
Oh yeah,
just
thanks.
yeah.
Yeah, that was my cue, the test concert, because I read and I was talking to some former colleagues in Germany. They did a test concert there with the full intent of making it a COVID test, but they packed 5,000 people in an arena, but every one of those people was tested and scanned beforehand, and they put fluorescent paint on their hands, right?
Interesting.
And so they could actually track the transferring of by body contact and touching. Everybody there was wearing masks and stuff like that, but they kind of just wanted to see how interactions with people and what the risks and stuff are involved, right? And I haven't heard the results back yet, because I mean, it's a scientific study, so they're obviously going to do their due diligence evaluating the numbers and everything. But I find it an interesting approach, you know, that they're actually trying to figure out what are the actual dangers, how many people are actually put in danger in those mass events.
I want to know how many people had fluorescent paint all over their face, around their mask, and under their mask.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly it, right? Because with that fluorescent paint, it's easy to track what they touched, where they touched who, and all that. So that should be a very interesting study to see when they come out with the results.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be horrendous, the results, and scary as fuck, because people are stupid, you know? An individual can be smart. A group of people is always stupid. It's pure herd mentality, you know? That's just the way it is. I've never seen people being smart. I've just seen persons being smart. It's just, I don't know why that is, but I guess it's human nature.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah, I know. And when you get thousands of people, it gets even more crazy.
Yeah, the more the people become, or more people becomes, the more intelligence seems to fade.
Yep.
You know, it's kind of like inverse square kind of thing happening there. It's weird.
I'd have to agree.
I mean, not that common sense is terribly common to start out with.
That's
No,
right.
I think people have been giving out their 2 cents worth too much, and they lost all their common sense.
Exactly. You know, common sense at this point should actually be called rare sense.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's hard. Did you guys get a chance to see any of the stuff that's been posted on social media this morning and last night?
Yeah, I've been looking at some of the stuff around. Haven't had much chance because I spent most of my morning outside with the dog.
Ooh.
So kind of to give him nice and tired out, so I have some time to do this now without him bugging me constantly. Because he's still young; he's only a year and a half old, so he's like full of energy.
A puppy.
Yeah, total puppy.
There's lots of stuff going on.
Do you know how many venues in the Toronto area are also doing anything? Or
Yeah, so if anyone is listening, and for you guys as well, if you want any information on venue stuff, you guys can go to www.lightituplive.ca, and that has a venue map on it, so you can kind of see who's lighting up.
okay, is it Light It Up, or because I also see there's a lightuplive.ca.
Sorry, Light Up Live. What did I just say?
You Light It Up.
Oh, sorry. It's lightuplive.ca.
Light Up Live. Okay.
Thank you. Yes. I've been
Yeah,
saying.
that's the site that also they're talking in Halifax. I was saying there's about 20 plus venues in the Nova Scotia area, and at least, including your old Imperial and the Playhouse, there's several venues in New Brunswick which are doing a similar situation.
Yeah, it's very exciting. That's a pretty cool one for me to see. Will be to see their marquee lit up in red. That one means something to me for sure.
The Imperial and the Playhouse recently just became part of my local union. I'm in 680,
Yeah.
and they've joined in, so now they're a part of us, which is kind of nice.
I heard that. That's great. That's
And
great.
last summer, I got to work with a bunch of those folks. We followed around with Cirque du Soleil. So we had riggers from Moncton, Halifax, and St. John follow around to all the different venues to make sure that we had enough riggers.
I love
So-
those guys.
Yeah,
Yep. Those
awesome
guys
people.
are pretty great. Yeah, it's very exciting. We're touching from all across Canada. It's
Yeah.
pretty one. The live event community guys have been working on that aspect all across Canada, using their contacts and sort of trying to plant a seed in all the cities and see if the cities wanted to come on board, and the cities that have come on board, it's their doing. They're there to sort of support them if they have any questions or anything. But like when we see the pictures tonight, it's very exciting because it's like the cities made it happen for themselves, right?
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's always amazing, you know, when people come together to work on a common goal and something actually happens.
Yeah, I don't know, when you start something, yeah, you're sort of like, okay, let's start this. If no one cares, no one cares. But between all the people that are working on this, like the two guys from Live Event Community, and then there's probably about 7 of us at We Build right now that have been working on this. Once like you put all their heads together, you know, we actually realized that we knew quite a bit of people.
Well, that's the thing, right? Yeah, when everybody throws in their pool of acquaintances, you get a pretty tight-knit net across the country, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's a small world, but then it's also a big one. It's been pretty special seeing it roll out. And then for the people that maybe we didn't have a contact for, they just saw through what we were doing, and then would contact us and say, hey, can we be a part of this? Like, what about us? And it's like, absolutely, this whole thing is for everybody in
Well,
the event.
That's the whole thing, right? Because we are such a strong community-oriented kind of bunch. That was actually one of the reasons I started this channel too. You know, it's like because I wanted to be a community-driven platform where we can all get together and talk about stuff that matters to us, you know, and share experiences. And originally, before the pandemic hit, I was also planning, you know, to put on some training videos, you know, and people like, I don't know, my favorite piece of gear video, you know, where people can feature their favorite type of Leatherman to their favorite type of console or whatever it be, you know, kind of get everybody talking and sharing in their knowledge as well, you know. So, and I'm still planning to go forward with that.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't have as many collaborators as I hoped I would have.
Yeah,
But
we like standing in the shadows. and that was what we were sort of concerned about a little bit at the beginning, because my whole thing from the beginning here has been like the people have to be seen here, but we weren't sure whether they would want to be seen.
Well, that's the thing, because we're not used to being seen, right? It kind of requires a paradigm shift in our minds.
Yeah,
Instead of hiding in the shadows and the wings, now suddenly we got to step out in the spotlight.
yeah,
But usually we're the one providing the spotlight, not seeking it.
exactly.
You know?
I'm really proud of all the people that stepped up and stepped out of their box of comfort, really, to even make those photos. And I want to make sure that people know that that's not falling on deaf ears. Like, we're going to use that stuff and continue using it, whether it's behind closed doors in government or campaigns that we can continue on afterwards. We just sort of needed to get to this day and have a breath, and then we could kind of see if we were going to move forward or what we were doing with it.
Yeah, I'm sure, you know, there's some stuff we can still do going forward, you know, beyond just lighting up venues. Like I was touching on earlier, you know, coming up with some form of march or demonstration or something like that, that is not like a protest demonstration, but just an awareness march kind of thing, you know, or
Yeah, we can go forward. Yeah, from this this whole project partly was, yeah, to light buildings, also to get faces out, but the other part of it was to bring the community together. Like, I don't think Toronto has really come together in a way like this before, so it's kind of nice to have everyone that we were able to reach come together, so that if, like, because this isn't ending anytime soon,
no, for sure not.
you know, if we need to do something else, that community is built there now, you know, and if someone feels like they need to say something or they want to share something, then they can feel free to do that on our pages. Like, you know, that was part of this event, you know, get the photos out of people, make sure that people get to see how many people are in the industry, get to see like the buildings that they encompass and make those buildings work. And with building that community, and once you have that, you're able to do things with it for the better, right? But it had to be built first, and that's been our whole sort of goal this whole month, which has been crazy. But people are coming together, and it's
I was going to say, I'm actually pretty impressed with what you guys managed to kind of stomp out of the ground there in that short a time. Like I've been following you guys from like basically the moment on, and if you remember, I kind of reached out to you guys initially wanting to talk about this because I knew you were onto something there, right? I had a feeling, yeah, finally somebody who's moving in the right direction, you know. And, I want to get behind this and help as much as I can, you know, because this is a good thing. This needs to happen, and anything I can do to help and to promote this, I'll definitely do, and I'll continue to do so.
Yeah, thank you. And the other like aspect for us, like bringing that community together too, it brings us all a little closer. So if we need to start looking at things like mental health in our industry or really important things, then we have a community that we can sort of build off of that. So that I know that myself, when I first came to Toronto and I was like, you know, trying to get gigs and stuff, I didn't really know where to go. I didn't really have a spot to talk to people. Like, I want We Build Entertainment specifically to be a place that people can come to and be like, hey, I'm a new technician. Is there anyone willing to like help me out with something? And then there's people
Right.
from all aspects of the industry there, you know, and We Build Entertainment's always been above any like political stuff that's like happening or any, you know, like it's very community based.
Yeah.
Anyone can feel like it's going there. I started it originally because it was like I've touched on the freelance world, and I also am part of a union, so I've lived in both worlds, and I would like to think that I have a little bit of like, if I could help somebody on either side, then that would be great. Or if I don't know, then maybe someone that I know would be willing to help with that, you know. So that was sort of like building that community stronger so that we can do things with it later.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing, right? Once you've got that community, once you've established these communication channels and forums and platforms for people to talk, then you can start actually doing stuff, right?
Yeah, that's it. And yeah, you're right. It's been a crazy month, and I don't know how we've pulled this off. And we're here today, and it seems a bit surreal. But I hope that everyone takes today as a day to just reflect and also just try to get the word out there as much as they possibly can of who they are, what they do, the buildings they work in, all of that stuff. It's so important. And then, but also on a personal level, let yourself like feel the day. You know that some of it's kind of heavy, and it's important to just take that time, because I think a lot of us have been kind of pushing away a lot of like the emotions and stuff that we have of what's going on, just because we don't know what's going on, and you just kind of go, okay, it's gonna be fine. I have to power through. But I'm hoping that people sort of see all these photos, and I've had a few comments already being like, yeah, that that they got emotional, either writing their piece of paper. Some of writing those have been really difficult for some people, and I thank them for doing that, and that's a lot of power to make that happen. But yeah, today is definitely, as much as it is for getting like your word out, it's also for you to take it a couple minutes and really feel like what's going on, and see what we can continue on to do.
Yeah. Oh, that is pretty awesome. And I think we covered a lot of ground now, and hopefully we can get the word out to some people that didn't get the message yet.
Yeah, for sure. I spoke with a few people. Like I spoke with the NDP, one of their volunteers, and he also ended up being a freelancer himself.
That's cool.
And his dad, I think, also worked in the industry, so he totally understood. They actually put a post. The Davenport NDP put a post up in solidarity with us today, which was pretty cool. And they're also sort of fighting in that same direction.
Nice.
That we are. So that was kind of nice to see today. Some support from them. That was lovely.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So I hope that, like I said, we can get a lot of feedback from what's going on tonight. I want people to kind of send in pictures and video clips or whatever they can of the venues and like behind the scenes of the venues preparing for tonight and stuff. So because I definitely want to put together a follow-up piece on tonight's event to kind of, yeah, do like a recap or a summary of how it went, and maybe afterwards we can get some politicians or industry leaders to kind of talk to and kind of give us their reactions on how they thought it went and if they think something's going to come of it or not.
Yeah, for sure. That would be lovely. I'm sure they're not sure whether they should speak on the matter or not, or there may be some of that, but maybe once we show sort of what we did with today.
That's what I'm kind of counting on, because yeah, all the official people I reached out in advance, they were obviously very reluctant because they're not informed enough to kind of make a statement. They don't want to go out on a limb, risk averse as politicians usually are, right? So
yeah. And we didn't.
I get that. Yeah, I get that, and I don't even blame them for it, because I mean that's just what they have to do. But on the other hand, I think after tonight, we can at least get their reactions and see what they thought about the action and if they've seen any impact or expect any impact from it.
Yeah.
That'd be nice to know.
And even just to hear from them, like, they're people too. They go to concerts.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
You're like, oh, I went to this concert. I didn't know that many people set that up, or that goes a long way. There's a whole audience of people that don't know us that would be following them. Like that helps us out immensely.
Yeah, for sure. And let's hope we can get like more awareness and more awareness and more awareness over the next couple of weeks and months.
Yeah.
To maybe get people to understand what's going on and to make people aware of what they're risking losing going forward.
Yeah, like wear a mask. We want to get to work, man.
Exactly,
Like, we're done. You know, a lot of people have been posting this standing by, and like, you know, we're done standing by. No one likes a long standby.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And this has been the longest standby in human history. I'm pretty sure of it.
Yeah, I mean, entertainment always bounces back, and I know it will at one point. It's just that we have to make sure that we're covered until the point that it does.
Yeah, like I said it earlier in one of the streams I posted, it's like for the first time in my entire life, the show must not go on.
Yeah.
Indeed.
As hard as it is for us to say that, but we are the ones that have to say that because we're the ones responsible for putting on a show safely.
Yeah.
And we can't do that. So we have to say right now the show must not go on, but our lives do.
They do, and that's something to touch on, is that because this is such a lifestyle, like we were talking about before, basically some of us have lost some of our life. You know,
Yeah.
some of what we're so used to, how we live. We wake up, you know, get a coffee, go to work, chat with your friends, do your work. You know, like, because it's a whole lifestyle. And then when you're all of a sudden sitting on your couch and you're like, what do I do with myself? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I had a hobby until 6 months ago.
Well, my hobby was doing shows. Like my hobby was the same thing as my career was, right? Because I work at what I love doing.
Yeah, and I always said that for years, and I was like, you know what, I should get a hobby someday, so it's not all just work. But that's it. Because it encompasses so many different things. You know, you're laughing and joking, and then you're sad sometimes, and like it just, you're there so often that, you know, and the people that you work with, like, I'm currently at, well, not currently, I guess, but I have a house position at Medieval Times, and I work with one other guy, and like you become really close because you're sitting right next to the person, you know, and we used to laugh back in the day at Imperial Theater because it was like, I see you more than you see like your husbands or your wives, or you know these
For sure.
people
Yeah.
inside and out. Like when we say family, like we see them at their lowest and we see them at their highest, and we're there for all of that.
Yeah. Well, the reason I don't have a husband or a wife is because I'm working too much. I'm always on the road. It's like I've never had time. You know, that's another thing that people forget. We sacrifice a lot for what we're doing. You know, there's many of us who don't have a family, who don't have a spouse or kids because it doesn't work if we're on the road. Like I've lost so many relationships because I spend 200, 250 days a year on a tour bus somewhere on this planet.
Yep.
I can't blame my girlfriend or even fiance at some point, you know, to say, hey, I can't handle this anymore. And you can't fault them for it because I get it, right? We're busy out on the road all day long. Our minds are occupied while they're sitting at home looking at that void where we usually are or supposed to be.
Yeah,
you know?
that's it. That's the struggles of it. And to talk about like the real life that's going on right now, it's like all those people came back from off the road. All these shows are just sitting in shops waiting to go back out. And, you know, some people didn't even have apartments.
Yeah. I actually know of a case where a couple just recently got divorced because she couldn't handle him being home all day long. She was so used to him being on tour like 80% of the time. Since they got married, like, I don't know, 8 years ago, he was never home for more than a week or so at most in one sitting.
Oh my goodness.
And now he's been home for like 3 or 4 months, and they just couldn't handle each other in that amount. It was just too much. So they separated in amicably. So it was an ugly divorce, but they both realized this is not going to work this way. It's like we're both going to get angry, frustrated, and
yeah, it's funny. Just the total upheaval that this has done to everybody. Just you're either a touring tech and you come home and you're like, okay, I guess I have to live here for a while, and that's real weird. And then there's the people that are used to going to like work in their city and they just can't, and they're like, all right, well, okay, couch. The couch is like should have honorary mention in all of this.
Oh, definitely.
And video games.
Yeah, right. Actually,
games
funny enough, a lot of technicians have been turning to that, and they are hanging out that way by doing video games together.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and it's funny, you know, if I think about it, like I'm a video tech primarily for a living, and now I'm looking at my hobbies. What do? I'm staring at a camera and screens and pushing buttons. This is what I'm doing for fun now, right? Which is essentially what usually I get paid to do. But this time I get to make the script and we get to talk about whatever we want, right?
Yeah, no, it's true.
But it's weird.
Been interesting. And then, like, on positive notes of this, like, people get to see their families more than they ever did. There's some people who have new babies and they've got a chance to be there, period. Which is pretty cool. Or yeah, people don't have children, they get to,
make some.
Well, no.
Oh no, I'm done.
I'm saying some people that don't have children now actually have time because they're together long enough to actually have a chance of making kids, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. And they're like, okay, maybe we can do this. Like, maybe we can make this happen. And then, yeah, for the people who don't have kids, like, you get to be at home a little bit more, or like, go see the park, or go to your cottage, or like that. That's all the sort of positive stuff. Like, I mean, the summer was great. The winter's going to be interesting. But let's
be honest, it's going to suck.
Yeah, it is going to suck. But like, we just have to kind of stick through with each other, and we know like entertainment's going to come back sometime. And what happened with me is I came home for a week or two, and then all of this started. So you kind of if you put yourself into like a project, that definitely helps. And then surrounding yourself with people, like amazing people who have worked on this project alongside with me, is just great. Like I keep saying, We Build Entertainment is not me anymore. It's the whole crew.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think that this is 6 months.
Yeah.
It's only been 6 months and 10 days or something since it just shut down.
Yeah, it's
crazy to think that.
Feels like it's been a full year to me.
Yeah, it's like, I'm pretty sure today is March 198th or something like that, right?
It's Y2K20.
Yeah, it's like I've completely lost track of all time and calendar days and stuff like that. It's like, or weekdays. I mean, not that weekdays mattered much anyways to start out with, but like I haven't even looked at my calendar since like, I don't know, July.
Right.
It's like I had literally in September, there were 2 entries in my calendar. One of them was today. And one of them was that mini gig I did on Saturday.
Nice.
Where I set up like 25 LED panels to show a movie for the TIFF.
Nice.
But it wasn't Budweiser stage, so man, it felt like weird walking out there. It's like, damn, I haven't been in the shed like since last summer.
Oh, I miss that building.
Me too.
Yeah,
it's been so long.
It was weird, kind of, walking in there on Saturday, kind of, and it was so weird because I actually felt anxious showing up for the gig in the morning. On my way to the gig, I was literally getting like the heebie-jeebies, kind of like I was a 16-year-old kid working a big show for the first time or something like that.
Yeah.
It was so unreal.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much of that will happen to people who have been in the industry for a really long time. They get a chance to feel that, when they kind of make fun of the younger guys coming in, like, oh, I used to be like that. Like I'm hoping they get a little bit of that like spark again. When
new and shiny.
Yeah, little like, yeah, we're back. I get to do this live music. Like,
it's unjade yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hard to do though, but you know how it is. You don't know what you got till it's gone. And now that it's gone, we start to realize a little more. Even like old timers like me, been doing this for longer than I can remember. We still kind of, we start to remember what we don't have right now.
Yeah. It's the little tiny bits of stuff. Like it's been pretty great over the last couple of days. I've had a few people reach out to me who I don't get to talk to all the time, and we just sat and chatted about like old times and events, and it was pretty great actually. So.
And we all have stories. I think it was Chantal that posted the other day that she does it for the stories.
Yeah, she did actually.
Right? Yeah.
Really good.
Hold my beer, watch this kind of stories, or
shit,
there I was.
Yeah, exactly. We all know the stories. We've all been in situations that are so surreal that nobody outside of our industry would ever believe them.
No.
But everybody in the industry immediately recognizes the situation. Says, "Oh yeah, I can relate. I know. I've been there, done that, whatever." Like,
Yeah.
Everyone will have a story that's similar.
yeah, exactly, or it pertains to a similar kind of predicament,
Absolutely, yeah.
right? Like one of my favorite stories is where we had to cut open the elevator door at a Hilton with an angle grinder to get our star out because the elevator shut down 5 minutes before the show. And he was stuck between floors. So we literally walked through the lobby of the Hilton with a big diamond cutter angle grinder and just sliced open their elevator door.
Like
Yeah.
there's a moment right before you do that you're like, we don't get to do this every day.
Exactly. It's just that gratification, you know, and you know you're gonna get away with it because you know, and that is so empowering. You remember those moments for the rest of your life, you know.
Yeah, you do. It's like somebody let me cut open an elevator.
Yeah, exactly. In a schwanky hotel lobby, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, stuff like that. You know, everybody's got weird stories of people being trapped in elevators or trucks being stuck in truck elevators, and
Canadian Ballroom.
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Westbury. Was it Blue Rodeo's gear dropped to the bottom floor, some basement?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
the
That
5 times-
elevator is famous for everybody who's not in Toronto. That elevator is notorious for trapping trucks and gear, and
Yeah.
not working half the time.
Oh my goodness.
If you've managed to not go through the kitchen during your loadout,
It was a lucky loadout. Yeah.
yeah. I'd like to see someone who's like, I've never done that. I don't know what that's like. Like,
I haven't met anybody at least not in Toronto.
no.
But I have met some people who don't remember the old Four Seasons load in through the kitchen.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Where's-
Katie, you
Isn't that
remember
like
that.
around the corner, around the corner, around the corner, around the corner,
Yeah.
around the corner.
Past the trash and past the garbage bins.
Oh yeah, there's stuff that you see you're not supposed to.
No, exactly.
That's not for the public.
No. Well, there's a lot of that too, right? With the stuff we see that we can't talk about because it would shock the public to hell.
Yeah, no, it's true. And not like, anything like super weird, but just I always
Actually, there is a lot of stuff that is super weird, but not a lot that is super illegal.
No, not like anything like Hilton's not like putting bodies or something behind it.
No.
Like, there's nothing like super weird. It's just like you get to see all the not public facing stuff, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what it is. It's nothing like super weird. It's just not all polished and pretty.
Well, that's always the case behind the scenes, you know, and it doesn't matter if it's a movie set or a stage. It looks good facing the audience. It looks functional facing any other way.
Yeah, exactly. I always laugh at the memes that are like, this is what people think happens backstage. And it's just like this party. And I always just want to post like literally just a picture of like a stagehand sitting on a road case, maybe reading a book or looking at their phone to be like
Eating their
Yeah.
dinner on a napkin or a
yeah,
Yeah.
pizza or something. And then
Pizza
just
on a
like,
flight case.
no one else there. It's like, this is real.
Yeah, exactly. This is what it is.
Yeah, this is probably someone texting like a family member or someone saying, sorry, I'm going to be late and not going to be able to make dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the real stuff too.
It's like, honey, you'll have to pick up the kids. The
Yeah.
band is doing another encore.
Yeah,
the,
I know.
the CEO just paid the top 40 band to keep playing so his wife can keep dancing because she's drunk. So it'll be later till I get home.
Yeah. just put it in the fridge.
Yeah, exactly. I'll nuke it when I get home, if I get home ever.
Yeah, right?
Now, there's another thing that I just was thinking about that we haven't touched on yet is how many people are actually going to change careers during this that are never going to come back to our industry.
You
I
could
don't-
probably do a whole episode on that alone.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of, I think it's probably mainly younger people that still have more of the options, you know, with careers. Because, like, let's be honest, if you've been doing this as long as I have, there is not many other things you're going to be good at doing unless it's directly related to the skill set.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
convincing somebody of that skill set that is not in this industry is a hard part, right? Because they have no clue what goes into my job, your job, or whatever, right? So you have to sell yourself to these people before you even have a chance to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, and you don't know how to sell yourself to like a retail job necessarily if you never did it. You know, we can sell ourselves to jobs in our industry, but
Yeah.
how do you say, well, I can take 100 people and build a lighting rig.
Yeah.
How do you say, I'm pretty sure we could probably take me and this other person and sell some like shoes. I'm pretty sure we could do this, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I can sell shoes because I'm a horrible salesman. That's
Yeah.
why I'm so horrible salesman. I wasn't even successful at selling weed when I was a kid. So
Oh,
that shows you how bad a salesman I am. So sales jobs would definitely be off the table for me.
yeah.
But like
But
literally,
planning,
yeah,
logistics.
planning logistics might be something as long as I get some hands-on time, right? Like I
Yeah.
couldn't just be a pencil pusher all day long.
I think the hard thing is that because we're so like close to each other, our family, basically we're all like family. We talk to each other like we're family too. So when you're in an industry for years where you can just say basically whatever you want within a little bit of reason there,
Yeah.
then you go to like a public facing place and you're like, yeah, those shoes look like shit. You can't just be like, nah, don't buy those ones, buy these ones.
Yeah.
You know, you have to change the whole way that
You communicate.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, let's be honest. The only industry I know that has a harsher tone than the event industry is kitchens.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's the only place where people are less afraid of just talking dirty or throwing swear words around or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we cut through the shit pretty clearly, you know, and say what we mean without worrying about dressing it up.
Yeah, there's a lot of like honesty I think that comes in it.
Exactly. But like in kitchens, it gets like so rude that sometimes that and just hostile rude, you know,
Yeah.
that makes a drill sergeant look like you're like Mr. Rogers. You know what I mean?
But no.
But yeah, I wonder how many people we're actually going to end up losing in this industry when it comes back.
Yeah,
How much talent will have gotten lost?
and then once we come back, like, you know, whenever that is, as far as being able to do a big concert, like how do you get 200 to 300 people back again? You know, like how did the labor companies
Yeah.
get all of those names back to working? Because if you have one show, all these people can't leave their job that they have set up during all this time just for one show, but
Yeah.
they also don't want to lose that contact because they want to come back. You know, it's like it's a bit of a struggle that's going to happen for sure. The other thing too is that for a while the rates, because no one has any money, a lot of companies are saying, well, you can have this job but at a reduced rate than what we used to pay you before, and unfortunately people are going to take it because they need to work. I wish that they would not and stick with it and say, you know, just because this happened doesn't mean that all of my experience is gone.
Yeah, but unfortunately, not everybody can afford solidarity. That's the thing, right? Some people have to feed their kids, and that's got to be their priority. And I get it; you can't fault them for that, right?
No, 100%.
Obviously not. I mean, it's like, sure, we all would like to go back, and you know, there's always people that are desperate that take or have to take whatever they can just to get by.
Yeah, it's just like this struggle because you're like, do I take the less amount and then stay within the graces of this company, or you know, like there's gonna have to be some give and take on all sides. That like if someone doesn't feel like they want to take the work, then that doesn't mean that they don't get to work for the company anymore, really.
Yeah, but that's also going to be a question of, you know, how the bookers handle that and how the companies handle it. Because I'm sure there's going to be people that are going to take advantage of that desperation, you know, that are saying, hey, I can cut the costs on this event down by quite a bit if I cut down on the labor costs, you know?
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you're not going to take the call, I know 3 other people who are desperate enough to that will.
Yeah, and that's the super unfortunate part.
But that's to some extent always been the case. You know, there's always somebody standing behind you that's willing to do the job cheaper, but not necessarily better. But that's a whole different discussion, you know?
Yeah, I think, well, we were doing pretty good. I feel like there was lots of work, and people were able to sort of negotiate a little bit as far as what they were worth to themselves, whatever. But all of that sort of gone out the window, and that's something that's going to have to be worked on for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Coming back is going to be like restarting is going to be probably a slow, gradual process because it's not like the government says, "Okay, drop the flag now. Tomorrow you can have shows again." Because that's
Yeah,
not going to happen. The pre-roll time is
It's
way
going to be
too long
ramped
for
up.
that. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, exactly. And the other thing too is that people, because companies don't have any work for anyone, people aren't hearing from the companies, rightfully so, makes sense.
Yeah.
But that makes you feel in the freelance world like you're like, oh, they're, am I still working for this company? Am I still a part of this? Do I need to, there's a lot of networking that goes on. And then when you just all of a sudden hear nothing from anyone because of all this, you're like, what do I do? But if you reach out to people, they don't have any work right now. So, it's kind of hard. So that's another thing that's going to have to sort of work itself out too. I think just it'd be cool if the companies, maybe send out a little like email to their employees or something, being like, "Hi guys."
Yeah, just like a newsletter or whatever to stay in touch would
Yeah,
actually be a good idea.
you're still part of this team. We just don't have anything for you right now, and like it's not the company's fault they don't have anything right now.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
happening, right? So I feel like a lot of that doesn't happen sometimes in our industry. Just that like reach out, hey, you still exist in our minds.
Yeah.
You're still part of this crew, and it would be really nice to see a little bit more of that, because I think that would help out a lot of like the mental health stuff that you just feel like, okay, I'm still in this, I'm
Yeah.
still making this happen. It didn't just completely shut down, because a lot of people are like, am I going to have to start from like day one and do all those contacts again? I don't think that's the case, but it would be
For
nice.
some people, it might be though. I mean, that's
Yeah,
definitely a possibility, that we have to consider. And we did a piece on mental health a couple of months ago, but I think we probably should do another follow up on that specifically for this scenario right now and how
Yeah,
things are
do a
going.
check-in.
Yeah, exactly. And like I want to set that up probably next week or something like that,
yeah,
and we'll do a panel discussion. Because I don't
yeah.
know, Nikki, if you saw some of the stuff we posted so far on the channel.
Yeah, I saw. The only one I got to see was you guys did one on women in the industry,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
We've touched on that. We've done like an inclusion one. We've done Black Lives Matter. We've done a mental health one. So basically, all of the major issues, that we deal with, and we want to go forward. We do more of that, and
Yeah,
get more people
great.
in to kind of tell their story and what they're dealing with, what they're struggling with,
I
to
love
kind of
that.
to let other people know you're not alone. I'm here dealing with the same situation. This is what I figured out how I deal with it. Maybe it'll help you, maybe not. Tell me what you're dealing with. Maybe I have an idea that'll help you, whatever. So
Yeah,
that's
let's.
that community sharing of knowledge and wisdom and experience. That's basically the prime objective why I'm doing this channel.
Yeah,
Because
let us know if you need any help with that. I mean, that's basically what we're doing too, but it's
that's
sort
what I
of.
mean. We should definitely collaborate, more, because we're aiming for the same thing with slightly different, angles at it, but we have the same goal. So why should we not work side by side? You know what I mean? For
Yeah,
the
100%.
common goal.
I agree.
And yeah, I think like definitely the next shop talk mental health during COVID again.
Yeah,
So if anybody has some really good suggestions or people, that can have really something to say about it. Like on the last one, we had a psychologist in the panel who was telling us basically about the clinical sides and stuff like that, which was kind of interesting to get his take on it.
hmm
So I'm hoping I can get somebody like that for the next mental health panel as well. I'm
yeah,
I'm trying right now. I'm trying to figure out if I can get somebody from CAMH or someone who's specializes right now in these COVID related kind of depression issues or struggles or whatever, because that would be really interesting to hear from them what kind of strategies they employ and suggest, and what kind of problems people are having right now.
Yeah, and it pertains to everyone. It's even if you don't regularly struggle with any of these things, like this stuff kind of pops up during these times.
Yeah, it wears you down, you know, and like people that struggle with mental health issues for a long time, they have time to develop coping strategies to some extent, some more, some less. But the situation where now so many people, you know, are suddenly finding themselves dealing with depression or anxieties or uncertainty or insecurity, and they have no idea how to deal with it because they've never had to deal with it all their lives.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there's a lot of people that can benefit from sharing and knowing they're not alone primarily.
Yeah, 100%. I'd love to be a part of that if you're willing to.
Gladly, yeah, gladly. So I'll put you on my list of people to invite on that one.
Yeah, thanks. I think mental health in our industry is really important. There's some good people that are doing some really good work.
Yeah.
But
Well, if you can think of any, you know, feel free to kind of reach out to them and let me know. I'm planning on setting something like this up maybe next week or the week after, depending on how long it takes us to put together a group of people and get them on the same page, timing wise. But that is definitely the next issue once we've got today covered, basically, because today's priority, and then we'll deal with going forward.
Yeah, for sure. I just wanted to make sure, and I love what you're doing. I think it's great. I just want to make sure that it was like we're still continuing doing things after today, and we didn't just do all this work and then just have today and just grab some photos and then we're like, okay, thanks guys, bye.
Yeah.
Like
No, this got to be an ongoing community thing. You know, like both of us, we're working to build the community and to bring the community closer together. You know, to create platforms where we can exchange ourselves, talk to each other, share information, knowledge, and support, essentially, right?
Yeah,
and that can't stop. This is just got to grow.
Yeah, for sure. And Toronto's pretty great as far, you know, we get a lot of flack sometimes, but like trying to work on this event, everyone has just been so on board here. And the community is already there. We're basically just like trying to just connect the bridges, you know, if there's any gaps, and like, you know, what you're doing too, just sort of bridging those gaps together so we're all kind of under one thing so we can all sort of fight this thing
Fight together. The same fight. Fight the good fight.
Yeah, and then somebody who feels like they're alone or no one cares about them, like reach out or start posting things on the page or you know, and sometimes like in social media people, sorry my cat, people just post on who they know. Like if I post something, only the people I know will post on it. But like I encourage people to start talking to people from all over. You know, there's people posting things from out east on the page. There's people posting things from the western side of Canada, Calgary. Those guys are killing it out there. You know, and start talking with these people. You know, don't be afraid to just be like, that's a really cool shirt, man.
Yeah, for example, right? Whatever it is, just kind of communicate and get together.
Yeah, and bring it together like Canada wide. Most work that we can do is probably Toronto related things, but anyone else that would love to sort of make that happen, that would be great.
Yeah, exactly. Like I totally invite anybody who wants to participate in any way, contribute, whether it be at this channel or in any of our Facebook groups. You know, just reach out, let us know, you know, if you got any ideas, any questions, concerns. I'll definitely put some links in the description for the videos, how you can reach the different groups and different Facebook pages and all that to reach out to. Yeah, because don't be afraid, just reach out, let us know what you would like to see, what you would like to talk about, any questions, any ideas, any great stories, anything. Yeah. We just need to get it out there.
Sometimes it just takes one person to be like, has anyone thought of this? And then it's like, no, actually, do you want to do that?
Yeah, exactly. And suddenly you realize, hey, this is a brilliant idea. Let's get a whole bunch of other people in on this and let's do this.
Yeah, and that's what happened to this event. 100%. It was like we should be a part of this, and then just like people came and they were amazing people and made it happen. And then now we're here on this day, sitting here waiting, till sun goes down. All these buildings are going to be lit up in red, and these little installations that are going to happen to represent
Yeah.
people. And like that's amazing that this has happened in a month just because people have come together, that just shows the power that we have. And also right now we have the time to do it is the other thing.
That's also very true. But I think, yeah, I think the most important thing now is keep the momentum going.
Yeah, for sure.
No.
100%. And sometimes I think it's great to think super duper big in the big picture, but sometimes you just kind of have to look at what's going on at home, and see what is, like, for my scenario, what does Toronto need?
Yeah.
What can how can we make Toronto even just a tiny little bit better? If that's what we can do, then we kind of did something.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We do what we can to make things better. We contribute to what we can contribute with our little set of skills and contacts and a little bit of leverage that each of us have, and if we all pool together, that little bit of leverage adds up to quite a big lever at some point.
Yeah, and through this entire thing, it's been like, okay, this needs to happen. And then you sit there and think, who does that for a living, or who does that naturally? And then you call them and they're like, yes, absolutely, I would love to help. And then they just take on that section, and you're like, yeah, we're good at that. Like it's all about finding people that are really good at doing that specific thing and putting them
exactly.
Right?
That's exactly it. And finding people, that like doing that specific thing, that don't find it a burden.
Yeah, and that's literally been like my only job in this thing.
Well, it seems like you're doing a pretty good job of it, though, so far from what I can tell.
Thank you. Appreciate
You too
that.
can be a production manager.
I did want to do it at one point, and then I didn't go there. But now, at this point, I probably could pull it off. But it's really like this whole thing. I've been saying it's not me. I did such a I feel like I did such a small part. I just put the people in places, and those people completely took it over and just made this day what it is. I might have started WeBuild, but the people who are WeBuild are the ones that are making this happen.
Yeah, like you said yourself, sometimes all it takes one person to light the fuse, and then you have everybody else getting on board and making it happen.
Yeah, sometimes we're scared to be like, what do you think about this? And we should do more of that.
For sure. I mean, what we got to lose right now? Not much.
I know. Yeah, it's true. Just finding people around you, and I guess I've been fortunate enough to have a really wonderful group of people around.
Yeah, and I think lethargy hasn't quite set in yet with most of us. We're still battling boredom.
Yeah, we're still ready to fight, and I don't know. I hope that doesn't ever get ripped out of us, because there's so many of us that someone's always going to be willing to fight. So always reach out if you don't feel like you want to fight anymore, or anything like that, or even if you just want to sit on the pages and just read what people say. You're still being a part of it, and don't ever feel bad about that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like anything we do, there is no unimportant jobs on the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody is needed, no matter how minuscule they see their part. Not everybody can be LD or front of house sound guy or video director,
Yeah.
It only takes one of each for a show. But
it's true.
But there is so many things that you can't do a show without the bus driver or the trucker or the forklift op or the rigger or the caterer or the stagehand, It's just doesn't happen, So
yeah, it's true. Everyone's so important, and we've had a few people reach out to us, like the guys that there's a fella at Face to Face, it's called. They're trying to do the same thing, but a little bit more in the hospitality sort of industry, as far in catering, and those guys. And they were they reached out sort of, are we part of this? And it's absolutely, 100%. You guys feed us.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, the hospitality industry, is basically our sibling industry.
It is.
You know, like local live venues, which are the bread and butter of the industry. You know, their hospitality business is primarily.
Yep.
You know, the hospitality business is suffering just as much from not having any live events. I mean, they have other avenues of income to some extent, but they're still feeling it. They're still suffering from not being able to put on live shows.
Yeah, of course. And all the catering companies like that. There's catering at every show.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That, you know, the daisy chain of people, of support industries behind every show is literally endless. You know, it goes right down to the guy who fills the ink that the print tickets are printed with. You know, basically, if you want to think about that, the guy that hangs the concert posters.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, who's getting paid $4 for every 10 posters he hangs or whatever.
Yeah, you think of like that guy that puts the puts the ink in to print the tickets.
Yeah.
If he didn't do it, they wouldn't have the tickets to print it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? There's so many little jobs, you know, that are connected with it that nobody thinks of. The guy that goes out, buys the garbage bag for the people that clean the venue after the show.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And you'll see on most of the pieces of paper that people are holding up that you'll see like multiple jobs
Of
on
course.
there. And it's just because this industry, like we say, is so vast and there's so much stuff involved with it that you really can make a solid career out of it, because you can go, you're like, I don't really like doing this part anymore, and then you just go to another section.
Yeah. Well, like I started out as a sound guy, right? And I got shanghaied and doing video sometime in the early 90s. And I've been stuck doing video ever since.
Yeah, that happens to the best
Yeah.
of us.
But essentially, like back in those days, you had to wear all the hats. Like the first PA company that hired me, I literally had to do lighting, video, audio, rigging, the whole 9 yards. That's the way it was back in the 80s, right?
Yep.
You have to be
Especially-
well-rounded.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the smaller companies, you know, you weren't you had your specialty, but you still had to be an all-rounder because you had to basically cover all of the positions, right?
Yeah. It's true.
Which is great because growing up that way, it gives you a solid foundational knowledge of what every department goes through.
Yeah, and
You know,
then
like-
you can turn into being like a PM or something like.
Yeah, or even like as a video tech for now, like I know what the riggers go through when I'm dealing with talking about them for my projection points or to rig my screens or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I can talk to them understanding what their problems might be, you know, and avoid like asking them to do stuff that they won't be able to do or that are just stupid, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I was doing lighting for years, and then I realized it's like I should probably do some ground rigging for a bit just so that I can like get the concept of what's going on. So now if I need a piece of truss somewhere, and then, you know, I walk up and the riggers are nowhere near the truss and it was supposed to be up a while ago, I can actually look up and see what's going on and be like, oh, they're dealing with something here. So I don't have to go to someone and you know, interrupt them and be like, where's my truss? Why don't I have my points?
Yeah.
You know,
It's because that bridle's not working up there.
Yeah.
The point's not landing. He's got to add another 5-foot stinger. So give him a minute.
Yeah,
you
give
know?
it a second. And that really plays into you being like a big part of like, you know, the site being chill.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. You know, if you know what everybody else has to do, and then you can avoid giving them unnecessary work.
Yeah, you can go to someone and say, hey, like, sound guy, I know that you need to put these speakers up, but can we get that truss in before you put them in? I'll put it in right now. Just little conversations.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. You know, like I'll wait with hanging my projector till you got that lighting truss out of the way. Otherwise, we might have to breast it out. You know, it's easier if I just wait. You get that out of the way, and then I'll bring my truss in. You know, whatever. You know, it's like it's all about communication at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%. And we definitely, even though we're not working, we still have to keep those lines open. You know?
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I think we can probably wrap it up for now. We've actually been talking for nearly 2 hours.
I was going to say, you're going to have to do some editing, creative editing here.
Oh, I don't know. I think I'll just post the whole thing the way it is. But yeah, I mean, let me see. Right now, I'm going to throw up the big event logo for a bit while we're still talking. And yeah, and then we'll do a sign off and we'll maybe do another one of these in the next couple of days when I get some information on how tonight went, and we'll put together something. I'll be
Awesome. Great.
Yeah, I'll be posting this on the Facebook channel as soon as it's kind of finished downloading and rendering, and it'll be live, and I'll post links to it on all of the Facebook groups. And
That's wonderful. Yeah, I hope we got through some things we needed to get through.
yeah, and if not, we'll come back and touch on those things. So if anybody's has something to say that we need to talk about, should talk about, missed or got wrong or whatever, let us know in the comments or send us a link or a message or whatever on one of the groups,
Okay, cool.
and we'll deal with it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me on.
Fantastic.
Well, thanks guys for being on, and this has been Grumpy Roadie signing off for today on the Light Up Live. God, I can't even talk anymore.
Light Up Live.
It's March 197th. No, actually, it's September 22nd, 2020. And keep it rolling, boys and girls and other entities. Peace.